Well, it looks like I'm speedrunning everything else, so let's speedrun the intro too. Hello ladies and gentlemen, this is Giant Grant Games and you clicked on the title of this video so you know why you're here. Here are the rules to the run, let's jump into it. The objective of the escape is easy. It's right in the name. The first mechanic of Nova Covert Ops is detection. Because the game focuses on Nova sneaking around, stealth detection works a bit differently in Covert Ops. Enemy ghosts have a cone of vision. If Nova loiters in this cone too long, the ghost will fire an EMP, revealing her and drawing nearby enemies to attack. After grabbing Nova's rifle and pulse grenades, it's time to get out of here. The Nova Covert Ops DLC was much more of an afterthought from Blizzard. While not broken, the coding and triggers are definitely not as well played tested as the main trilogy is. Whenever I was forced to reset a run, these rotating flamethrowers were at different angles. Often, this would mean that Nova would be forced to run through the fire. Her HP would drop too low, and then she'd die later. I was having a lot of trouble with this. Generally, when I'm forced to reset a run, I am already a little bit tilted. Getting owned repeatedly by these inconsistent flamethrowers on the first mission was frustrating me even more. As I've been speedrunning, I developed a habit for resetting myself. I'd load up the first mission, let the cutscene play a bit, and take a deep breath, then go. I got to the point where I was repeatedly dying on the first mission without making any progress. I was getting seriously pissed. I couldn't find any patterns or reasoning in these frustratingly inconsistent turrets. Eventually, the Starcraft 2 custom campaign maker Synergy showed up in my Twitch chat. He offered to check out the mission's triggers in the map editor for me. For every other trigger, in every other mission, of every Starcraft campaign, things start after the initial cutscene is finished. As far as I know, the only exception to this rule is the rotation angle of these flame turrets. It turns out, they start rotating right as the mission's introductory cutscene begins. Every time I reset and let that cutscene run a bit, so I could breathe and center myself, I was letting the turrets rotate, ruining the run. After the first flamethrower is the next mechanic to worry about, Marauders. If they hit Nova, she's slowed by 50% for a few seconds. If I get hit by too many slows, the flamethrowers will rotate, and you know, yada yada, dead Nova. I run past the first Marauder, snipe the second before you can shoot, and move to the end. There are 3 detecting ghosts, I snipe 2 of them and slip by the third to reach the Vulture Bay. Finally, everyone's favorite speedrun mechanic, auto-scrollers. There's no speedrun for this portion. I snipe things that appear and don't let my buddy Stone die. Occasionally, health packs spawn that heal Nova and refresh her energy. They spawn more frequently if Nova's on low HP. After the auto-scroller is a Warhawk boss. I instantly charge the Warhawk with Nova so the collision starts draining her HP. Then I spam snipe every time I have 25 energy. The goal is to spawn and grab as many health boxes as possible to get more snipe energy. Good positioning means I can tank the entire missile volley that he fires. After about 30 seconds, the fight is over. Sudden Strike is a holdout mission without an early victory condition. The mission is similar to the Great Train Robbery in Wings of Liberty, in that playing on higher difficulties decreases the time between enemy attack waves, saving about 30 seconds. They don't give me much money in this mission, so I decide to share Matt Horner's base. The mission is pretty easy. Marines defend, I grab the bonus objectives, and move on. The upgrade and loadout system is pretty complicated and difficult to explain in Nova Covert Ops. Luckily, I don't shift things around very much. All you need to know is that Nova has a selection of helmets, suits, weapons, and sidearms she can swap between, and unit upgrades are in a collective pool to pick from. I give my Marines the Super Stim Pack upgrade, and my Marauders the internalized tech module. In enemy intelligence, there are 3 lanes that my base is constantly attacked from. Down each lane is a garrison point where various unit types can be stationed to weaken the attack waves. Each garrison is overgrown with creep and defended by Zerg. I will need to build and garrison 12 Marines, 12 Reapers, and 3 Marauders to advance. Nova heads south to start clearing the first point. The garrisons don't have to be completely free of Zerg, as long as few enough remain that my soldiers can make a mad dash to the objective. At the second point, I alternate Nova between clearing with pulse grenade and killing the creep. Because of this clearing, Nova can easily cross the Spore Crawler's radius and get to the third objective. I start with 35 maximum supply. In order to not supply block myself later on, I send a few Reapers to the second point before I have all 6 that I need. Once units are garrisoned, they're given to the AI and don't count towards my supply limit. Nova is able to clear the objectives faster than I can make units to fill them, but this is by design. After the 5th point is clear, Nova and 3 Marauders charge in. I intentionally sacrifice Nova to shield for the slow and clunky Marauders. A group of allied units crash land on the top of the map for a bonus objective. I need the Super Stim Pack sidearm, so I send a Reaper to rescue them. After the rescuing Reaper returns home, I finish loading the garrison and part 1 of the mission is done. In part 2, I'm given the Monomolecular Blade. This is where the run becomes interesting. The blade does high damage. and the dash ability passes through enemies, providing incredible movement opportunities for Nova. If this were all, the blade would be a powerful tool for the run, but there's a hidden effect that brings out an incredible amount of skill and on-the-fly decision making. The tooltip doesn't mention this, but after Nova uses the dash, she does not simply rest at the endpoint. Instead, the game scans the area around Nova and quickly moves her towards a nearby enemy. She then attacks this enemy automatically. I call this entire process snapping. In the hands of a skilled user, dash can quickly turn Nova around corners or give her increased range, while poorly used dashes can turn Nova around or snap her right into enemy detection. I love abilities that allow a player to make skill-based decisions on the fly. I also make sure to kill this guy to avoid a dialogue trigger. In the first phase of Trouble in Paradise, there are 6 Zerg hatcheries to destroy. 4 Banshees head to the less defended northern base. Nova heads west, grabbing as many enemies as possible. I line the enemies up, and a double dash finishes them off. Nova's current kit of the monomolecular blade, turbojet jumpsuit, and super stim pack gives her the highest possible movement speed and damage output, but she loses the ability to cloak and has no anti-air attack at all. The healing from super stim pack allows Nova to shrug off low damage attackers, but large groups have to be avoided. To help expedite hatchery killing, Nova is given a nuke. I'm gonna save this for later. After the hatcheries go down, I get a base and it's time to fight the Protoss. The objective of Trouble in Paradise is super unique. There are 4 shield generators scattered around the map that need to be destroyed. Each is guarded by a progressively stronger force of enemies. I send Nova to engage the northern shield generators, while the Banshees go for the south. I build an engineering bay and escort my remaining army and 4 SCVs to this random portion of the map. Banshees are very vulnerable on this mission. In addition to photon cannons that detect, there are oracles who channel in an area. If the Banshees don't move away, they're revealed and easily killed. Losing Banshees is a horrible time loss here. The SCVs in the middle of the map start their little construction project. I send the Banshees up the right hand side of the map, and Nova moves to what would normally be the final shield generator and drops a nuke on it. The Banshee's job does not go very well. I target down a pylon to disable 2 photon cannons providing detection to the last generator, but due to bad positioning, I pull 2 scouts and a void ray. The pylon dies, but I have 1 Banshee remaining, who doesn't have enough energy to kill the shield generator before its cloak runs out. Thinking on my feet, I grab Nova and send her to the Banshee. Dashing in and using stim to increase my attack rate, Nova barely manages to take down the final shield generator before dying. This was an absolute Hail Mary. If this didn't work, the run was dead. After the generators are down, a Tal'Darim mothership spawns as the final boss, and some conveniently placed missile turrets quickly vaporize it. Remember how I mentioned early on that I was resetting the run? Night Terrors is why. My time on this run is actually significantly worse than many other attempts I had earlier, but Night Terrors is the only mission in Starcraft 2 speedrunning that has randomness to it, and a chain of absurdly bad luck killed a ton of my other runs. Nova must activate 5 Terrazine extractors and defend them until they finish extraction process. Waves of infested attack the extractors. The smaller infested don't matter much, but the aberrations are heavy-hitting, high HP enemies. The problem lies in how units spawn. Each extractor has a set pool of enemy units to spawn, and a large area around it those enemies can spawn from, but the order and location of those units spawn is completely random. If some aberrations spawn far away and then start moving forward, and then another group of aberrations spawns close up and joins up with them, it's almost definitely a reset. Oh, and did I mention that I'm doing all 5 extractors at once? I start off with Nova, 2 Liberators, and a Raven. The Raven drops point defense turrets at the first objective. They will die, but the extraction process will end before the infested can kill the extractor. I siege up a Liberator at the second objective. I found that giving it the cloak upgrade makes things somewhat more reliable. The third extractor is near some rescued allies. They will die, but the extraction process will end before the infested can kill the extractor. The final 2 extractors are tough ones. A ton of enemies spawn between them. I leave 1 Liberator at the 4th extractor and Nova herself defends the 5th. A bit after the 1 minute mark, I grab my SCVs and send them to the second extractor. This is a timed out event where 3 aberrations spawn. The SCVs move over to take aggro. They will die, but the extraction process will end before the infested can kill the extractor. Near the end of the mission, there are far too many aberrations, and Nova moves on to kiting duty, gathering up as many aberrations as possible and running them in circles instead of attacking the extractors. She might die, but the extraction process will end before the infested can kill the extractor. I got lucky with spawns this time, and I still barely made it out alive. Flashpoint is easy. There are 4 beacons that need to be cleared of enemies and activated with Nova. After activating a point, I pick a Zerg unit that defends the next area. Nova and Rygal talk a ton in this mission. I reach and secure each beacon long before the dialogue can actually trigger. Unfortunately, after Wings of Liberty, the way that dialogues work was changed, so switching the game to Portuguese doesn't speed things up anymore. The only point where enemy selection matters is the third one. There is a building of that unit's type that must be killed to secure the fourth point. I picked Nidus Worms because they have less HP than tech structures like spires or baneling nests. After 4 beacons, there's a 5th across the map. I open up the subway and transport the Marines I've been building this entire time, as well as my SCVs. The group clears to the final objective, and we're done. In the enemy's shadow is a Nova-only mission that I can turbo through. When Nova isn't burdened with an army, she can get some serious speed going. There's a segment early on where Thor has to open a door for Nova to progress. I try to dash past the Thor, but I mess up and snap back to him. This is bad. The Thor shoots Nova for 60 damage before she can get away. I have this segment pretty tightly routed, and I know my times are not good enough to be making detours to grab a health pack. I decide to take a major risk and keep going. As Nova rushes to the end of the segment, I'm convinced that I'm going to die. I decide that at the last minute I'll bank slightly to the right to avoid part of the damage from the final group. This was a good decision, because I make it through with 4 HP. I keep getting lucky in this run, and I'm not going to complain about it. The second section is much easier. I bring Nova to 2 beacons to open the doors in the middle of the map for a boss fight. Stone has a small bit of randomness to him. He has 2 separate openers for the fight. Either he shoots at Nova, or he teleports, cloaks, and then starts shooting. Because I don't have detection, the cloak is about a 10-second time loss. Once again, I got lucky. Stone stood his ground, I stimmed, burned through his shield, and killed him in 1 cycle. The blade DPS is just insane. Dark Skies is another timed defense mission, with a very small time save at the end. Opposite to Sudden Strike, increasing the difficulty actually makes the mission take longer. I have 20 minutes to set up for an 18-second time save. Enemies spawn from 7 different attack paths around the map. The objective is to bring the enemy's counter to 100 and then kill the Tal'Darim mothership. I spend my time building up bunkered turret forces at the end of each lane. Spawn camping the Tal'Darim does not increase the enemy spawn rate, with the exception of the very last wave dying quickly so the mothership will spawn. In ZPR's world record, he got a dialogue skip that he'd never seen before. For some reason, Janara decided to not play her dialogue for the run. It doesn't seem to be based on killing her quickly, because in testing, I killed Janara faster than ZPR did, and she still talked from the grave. I'm unsure how this trigger works, or how it skipped. If you know, I'll pin your comment below. Because I didn't get the skip, I lost 18 seconds listening to the ghost of Janara past yelling at me. Endgame is the best final mission in any Starcraft 2 speedrun. No sitting around, no defending, no cheesing the objectives with Kerrigan. It's a showcase of good Nova control, enemy management, and decision making. The Xanthos is a giant death robot that flies out to destroy docked allied battlecruisers. Its attacks have to be repelled for it to fly home and get repaired. I then have to engage it while it's docked or it will go back to attacking. Majority of the map is a continual line of defense leading to the Xanthos. I can't use my army to clear, they're needed for the final fight. The clearing is 6 minutes of constantly diving siege tanks, getting bunkers burning, dashing through infantry, managing Nova's energy and stim pack cooldown, and tactical withdrawals back to allied medics, while at the same time macroing up a big army at home. As the Xanthos moves out to attack the first defense point, I send my 2 starting siege tanks to assist my allies. They will die, but this means that the Xanthos takes enough damage that it's going to retreat back home at about the same time that Nova gets there. As Nova reaches the final defense area, she unlocks a nuke. I drop it and run away to heal. With a clear path to the Xanthos, I grab the Marines I've been making and bring them to assist Nova. After engaging the Xanthos, I realize that my Marine force is a bit smaller than it should have been. I messed up. My rally left some of the Marines in the middle of the map. My strategy here is to have enough Marines to kill the Xanthos before it fires its death laser. If the Xanthos fires its laser and I don't split, the run is over. If I do split, I lose a few seconds in what I already know is going to be a very, very close run. I make the decision to split. And it was the right one. The Xanthos goes down slower than I would have liked, but the run wasn't a reset. Nova is able to move through the burning wreckage of the Xanthos and assassinate General Davis, and time is called. Just by feeling, I knew that the results of this run were going to be close. So, how did I do? With a final time of 1 hour, 1 minute, and 42 seconds. I officially have taken the Nova Covert Ops world record by an astounding 2 seconds. Barely going under ZPR's world record time. Hey guys, thank you so much for watching. I know that this video is a little bit out of order with the other speedruns and deathless content, but things got a little bit weird and you can't expect when you get the world record. You gotta make the videos quick. Luckily, I have a bunch of other half-done videos right now, which means that video production should be ramping up for the rest of the year. I wanted to give a special thanks to my patrons. I don't like doing mid-roll ads, and with their support, it makes it much easier to justify not doing so. If you want to check out my other content, I'm live on twitch.tv every day of the week except for Tuesday. My streams start at 3 p.m. Pacific time and go for either 3 or 4.5 hours. I'd love to see you there. Once again, thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Peace.